and then I met a guy who I'm now going to call Kay through mutual friends, and I left the guy I was with and I got with this man, this guy, this boy, because we were young. I was 16. Yeah, 16 or 17, probably 17, yeah. So I was still living at home, and I was in my senior year of high school, and I would go to his house every weekend, and just the typical normal thing. We would smoke, we would drink, we would play cards, we had his friends over. I just thought this was normal. So his mom would always be in her room, and I would see her like this, and I asked him one time, does your mom do heroin? And he said, why? How do you know? Why are you asking me that? Like, my friend, nobody's supposed to know that. That's embarrassing. And I was like, I just know. Like, I've done it before. I know. And he said, yeah, she does. So, at this time, I was like, still trying to run from everything, trying to forget who I was, didn't care about anything, didn't care about my life, didn't care about how my mom felt, didn't care. So, I asked him if she could get me heroin, and he asked her, and she said, yeah. So so I did heroin, like she would get me some, he would pay for it. I did heroin like every weekend I went there, because I was still living at home, going to school, only going there on the weekends. And so eventually my mom, like, I was just out of control. I was just out of control, like, and my attitude. And eventually my mom found out. I think she knew. I don't know if she thought I was doing pills. I don't know if she knew right away that I was doing heroin. I don't think she would ever guess that in her life. And so it was kind of a mutual decision. Like, even though I was 17, I was like, she was like, you have to leave my house. And obviously I didn't care. I knew I could go live with Kay. And so I did. I went to live with him. I went to my principal, and I finished my senior year online. It was only a couple months, and I was doing heroin like almost every day now, because I lived there. And so I remember he never did it. He didn't know how bad it was. He didn't know, like me, when I was younger, like a teenager, didn't really know a lot about heroin. And so I remember I graduated. I don't know how, by the grace of God, I graduated. And I didn't want to walk in my graduation ceremony, because I had just disappeared, and I just didn't want to go back. I didn't care. And my mom talked me into it. So I walked at my graduation ceremony, and I went out to dinner with family afterwards. I wanted to leave dinner right away. I was getting sick. I was getting dope sick, and so I left. And then things with Kay and his mom living there just got bad. We wanted to move out very badly. It was just not good. We didn't get along. So we moved in to our own place. And he was working. I got a job, because when I graduated I was 17. So a couple months after that I got a job, and I was working too. And I hadn't done heroin, because we were in a new place. And a couple days after we moved in, one of our neighbors come over, and they asked us for a ride. okay, that's fine. He said that he's just going to do something, and then he got in the car, he was nodding out, and he told us at first that he was just buying Xanax. Okay, so we gave him a ride, he paid us a couple times, and then one time I was just like, you're not getting Xanax, you're getting heroin. And he was like, well, yeah. And so, ding, 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 light bulb. My head was like, okay, pay me in heroin, not gas money from now on. Okay, stupid. So I started doing heroin again. And, at this time, I was still working. I would go in the bathroom, I would snort my heroin, and I thought that I was functioning, we were paying our bills, it was great, and I was having fun, and we made new friends. Okay, so then my boyfriend, he starts doing it too without me knowing while I'm at work. Then I find out, so we're doing it together. We're really bad, we're really addicted, bad off, barely paying our rent, barely paying our bills. So I guess I'll talk about how I got my first criminal charge. This is my first criminal charge, being 18 years old. Well, ever really, but I was 18 years old, just turned 18 a couple months after. And I was stealing out of my job's cash register to get money, more money. And they had been watching me, and I had actually, after we lost our place to live, we moved in with his grandmother, and we stopped doing heroin. We were sick, but we stopped. We got over it. Obviously, I didn't know that you needed treatment. Like, well, not everybody needs treatment, but I definitely recommend it. I just thought we were done. Cool, living, whatever. So I go back to work after being off for a while. It should have clicked in my head why they let me off for a week, because they were reviewing, or what is that called? I forget the word I'm trying to think of. They were setting me up, basically, and I go back, and I remember exactly what I said to him when I got out of the car. I said, wow, it feels great to go in here and not have to steal. That's exactly what I said. So 30 minutes into my shift, they called me into the office, and they were like, we've been marking bills, we know you're stealing, or something like that. We know you are. Well, I hadn't stole that day, so they didn't find anything on me. I don't think they really had any information. I think they just felt like I was, because my drawer was coming up short, but they didn't have any proof. So the police come. I am prescribed Suboxone at this point. I remember, because I had one in my pocket and I thought I was going to go to jail, so I said, can I please take my Suboxone before I go to jail? And the loss prevention lady was like, no, you're not allowed. I shouldn't have listened to her. Who are you? You're not a fucking cop. But anyways, the cops come, and they say they're going to take me to jail if I don't produce a prescription for my Suboxone, which I had. Kay had to drive and bring the box with the prescription, my name on it, so I didn't get in trouble for that. And but I got an attempted theft charge, and I didn't go to jail. I just had court. The judge was very lenient. He was very nice. I didn't have to pay restitution because they really didn't have evidence. So I didn't do any time yet on that charge, but that is how I got my first criminal charge. And I was 18 years old, and so that's where I'm going to end this video today. And if you guys have any questions, or if I think of anything that I didn't talk about, anything that's important, anything that happened in between these times, I will definitely write it down, and I will include it in my next video. And thank you all so much for the support, and thank you for watching, and have a good